Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, take a second and think about the physical spaces you actually live in. If you're anything like most of us in the modern world, you probably find yourself constantly managing, well, stuff. We're always organizing our closets, buying more storage bins, piling up boxes in the garage, and filling our digital lives with literally thousands of unread emails and downloaded files. We live in this era where accumulating things is essentially equated with success. But why does this endless accumulation so often leave us feeling completely weighed down? Well, today, we're unpacking a profound philosophical text that challenges our modern consumerism at its very core. We are exploring the ancient, powerful concept of Aparigraha.
So it's a crazy paradox, right? The source text we're looking at today poses a really sharp observation about human nature. It points out that a billionaire who seemingly has acquired the whole world is often still striving, still restless, and still profoundly unsatisfied. And on the flip side, someone with nothing just wants to become a millionaire. Neither of them actually seems to find peace. The text suggests that the answer to this massive, widespread dissatisfaction doesn't lie in just getting more, but in fundamentally changing our relationship to the things we hold on to.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1. The meaning of Aparigraha.
Now, aparigraha is often translated simply as non-possession or non-hoarding. But it's absolutely crucial to understand that this isn't just about forcing yourself into some miserable state of deprivation. As our source explains, it's the deliberate practice of keeping only what is absolutely necessary for your daily life. It's an active daily evaluation. It essentially asks you to look at your life and deeply question the difference between what you truly need to function and what you're merely hoarding out of habit, fear, or maybe even just a desire for status.
And here is where the author makes a profound connection that really shifts the paradigm. The text links Aparigraha to another principle called asteya, which means non-stealing. The argument here is striking. It says if you collect and hold on to things that are entirely unnecessary for your daily life, those items essentially become stolen goods. Even if you paid for them completely legally, philosophically speaking, hoarding excess means you are actively keeping resources out of the hands of someone else who might actually need them simply to survive.
To back up this really bold claim, the text points to the workings of nature, or what it calls divine provision. Think about it for a second. The universe, nature, it doesn't hoard. It creates exactly what is needed day by day. The sun rises daily, the rain falls in its season. The author argues that if we just trusted in this natural law, we'd realize our daily needs will absolutely be met. But because we either don't understand this rule or we deliberately ignore it out of pure anxiety for the future, we obsessively stockpile.
Which brings us to Section 2, the root of inequality.
You see, when we ignore this natural law of daily provision, it doesn't just mess with our personal peace of mind. It scales up to create massive societal fractures. The source text presents a stark, unfiltered look at the imbalance this creates. On one side, you have the wealthy, whose homes are filled with so many unnecessary things that those goods literally sit around rotting, decaying, or going completely unused. On the flip side, because resources are finite, millions wander without basic needs, starving and freezing. The author's logic is simple. If everyone only collected what they genuinely needed, scarcity wouldn't exist. The text even argues that the wealthy must take the initiative to let go of their excess, which would naturally allow others to get a full meal and learn that same lesson of satisfaction.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core thesis of the entire text. True civilization and culture is not the increase of possessions, but their deliberate reduction. This completely flips our modern economic script right on its head. We usually measure a civilization's progress by its GDP, its massive skyscrapers, and its vast accumulation of goods. But this philosophy argues that as we reduce our possessions deliberately and thoughtfully, our true happiness, our satisfaction, and importantly, our capacity to serve others actually skyrockets.
Moving right along to Section 3, the ideal of the bird.
To help us really visualize what perfect aparigraha looks like, the text offers a gorgeous metaphor. It asks us to compare our anxious human existence with the life of a free bird. The bird is the ultimate practitioner of non-possession. It wanders the sky without hoarding grain, without a closet full of clothes, and without building massive permanent shelters for some distant future. It trusts completely that it will find its daily food. Meanwhile, the human hoarder is paralyzed by anxiety, constantly stockpiling against unknown future disasters. The bird is totally free. The human is trapped by their own accumulations.
Now, the author is realistic here. The text entirely acknowledges that we aren't all wandering sages or birds. Most of us are active members of a functioning society. We can't all just drop everything and live naked in the woods.
So, it offers these practical steps for the rest of us. First, carefully observe what you actually own and use daily. Second, make a continuous, ongoing habit of reducing the unnecessary. It's an active process of paring down. And third, just watch as this reduction directly leads to a massive increase in genuine happiness and inner satisfaction.
Now things get really deep in Section 4, the body as a possession.
So, if you thought clearing out your garage was tough, the author takes this philosophy to a much deeper, more challenging level. It's a pretty startling question, but it naturally follows the logic of radical non-attachment. If we're meant to let go of the external things we hoard, what about the ultimate physical boundary? Is our very own physical body just another thing we cling to out of pure habit and desire?
Now, what's really interesting about this is how it completely reframes human existence. According to the spiritual lens of this text, the soul is omnipresent and entirely free. The physical body, however, is described almost like a cage. And why are we in this cage? Well, the author argues it's maintained entirely by our desire for physical enjoyment and sensory pleasure. The text suggests that if our desire for physical enjoyment were to completely fade, the necessity of the body would actually fade right along with it. This is the extreme, ultimate peak of the philosophy, total liberation from the physical form itself.
Which brings us to Section 5, Decluttering the Mind.
Because you see, physical objects aren't the only things we hoard. We've got a mind to deal with as well. And mental hoarding is perhaps even more dangerous than physical hoarding. The text clearly states that just like objects, thoughts and knowledge can be hoarded. If you're stuffing your brain with useless facts, endless scrolling, and noise that serves absolutely no higher purpose, you are a hoarder. Any thoughts that turn us away from truth or turn us away from the divine are considered mental clutter that absolutely must be discarded. The author actually references the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita to really drive this point home. In the Gita, true knowledge is defined first and foremost by humility. The text argues that anything else we stockpile in our heads, all those trivial facts we use to inflate our egos, is literally just ignorance masquerading as wisdom. This false knowledge just makes the mind wander, it inflates our arrogance, and ultimately it breeds a deep, restless dissatisfaction. It's just more heavy luggage weighing us down on the journey.
And finally, Section 6, a life of service.
So the crucial point is this: if we're emptying our homes and our minds of all this useless clutter, what do we actually do with all that empty space? Aparigraha is not about creating a sad, empty void, it's about freeing up your resources for something infinitely better. While we still have these physical bodies, the text tells us exactly how to use them. First, we let go of the extreme desire for selfish bodily pleasure. Second, we channel all that freed up physical and mental energy into seva, or selfless service to others. Over time, as the text beautifully puts it, this service becomes our true daily nourishment. We eat, sleep, and breathe simply to maintain the body so it can serve others.
And it is absolutely vital to understand that reducing possessions does not mean you just get to sit around and be lazy. The text explicitly warns against using this philosophy as an excuse for inaction. Living without hoarding must be highly active, not passive. Every single moment of your life should be filled with pure or sattvic action. This means vibrant, purposeful work directed toward truth and helping others. The person who has truly dedicated their life to service doesn't have a single idle moment, yet they carry no burden whatsoever.
Which brings us right back to you and your daily life. The philosophy of Aparigraha challenges us to look around our rooms and inside our minds with brutal honesty. The less you hold on to, the more you can truly give. The lighter your load, the freer your mind. So I'll leave you with this question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. What unnecessary possessions, whether they're physical objects sitting in your closet or useless anxieties and ego taking up space in your mind, what are you ready to let go of today?